Hi guys, welcome back. So I've wanted to cover this stock for a while now. I've mentioned it in this channel a few times. And for the past few weeks, I've been adding more research into LKCO, and I found more information about the company, the background, and trying to see more of the plan in the future. And I gotta say, the more I look into it, the more it grew on me. So that's why I really want to share more about this. And this company is GELYY, ticker symbol GELYY. It is the ADR shares traded in the US, but the main company is traded still in Hong Kong market, and the ticker number is 00175. It is just like Tencent and Meituan, for example, that have the main company listed in Hong Kong stock and would still have the ticker symbol that can offer the chance for international investors to invest in it if they don't have the account to trade in Hong Kong. And I think they have been a low-profile company among the international investors. I first covered this company in May and thought that this year maybe some traditional car companies would have more growth potential than the new EV plays such as NIO, Xiaopeng, and Li Auto. Because GELYY at that time, back in May, had a very low market cap of less than Li Auto, which was the smallest out of the three, and even less than half of NIO's market cap, to be $20-something billion at that time. While it is a company holding a lot of brand assets, local and international. If we say that BYD is a low-profile Chinese car company, then GELYY would be even more low-profile than BYD. So that's why, even though I have mentioned it once in a while, in my videos and within the Discord, I don't see a lot of attention on GELYY, and the lack of retail investors' attention might be a good sign as well, for me to think that it might be still early, and maybe it's about time for people to give it more attention. Looking back at the point I started to introduce it was really the perfect time, the perfect dip to catch, when it was still at the teens level before the big run-up, and during this correction of the Chinese political and financial market storm. It's pretty clear that GELYY had been holding very strong. At the most scary time, pretty much at every dip, there was institution buying in the dip. During the dip at the end of July, when it was almost near the most fearful moment, a lot of big and small institutions were just selling off all Chinese stocks, leaving the Hong Kong market, and there were very few stocks that the institutions were buying in the dip. That the money inflow were more than the outflow. And GELYY was one of them, and I pointed that out in my Discord as well on that day. So what makes the institutions so brave? What do they know that we may not know? I will share my view in this video. Some of the clips here I actually recorded last week during the recording of the LKCO video, and then I had to trim it because the video got too long, and I think it's more suitable for a GELYY video on its own. So I'll first give a brief background of GELYY, and next is very importantly, how is their plan or landscape of the EV industry. And then I will share why I am bullish on GELYY, and in the end I will give the drawbacks of this investment. So first, GELYY was founded in 1997. The DNA of GELYY was already special once it was born, because before GELYY, all the Chinese car companies were owned 100% by the government. And actually, private company cannot even have a license to make cars. So the founder, Mr. Li Shufu, had thought about many ideas, many ways to find solutions to be able to make cars. And finally, he did around 2000. But his whole team, including himself, had no clue about how to make a car. So they had to figure out everything from scratch. So at that time, they had to disassemble a lot of imported cars. A funny story was when he was going on a business trip and his team had completely disassembled his Mercedes-Benz, but couldn't even assemble them back. So when he came back from the business trip and realized his car was destroyed, he said to the team that, good job, I'm gonna buy you more cars to disassemble. And that's how they realized the quality, the making of cars between the international imported high-end cars and the domestic cars were really the world of difference. So he was smart enough to have a clever and very sharp positioning for GELYY, which is to have the cheapest car possible, to offer Chinese affordable, good quality cars, to make cars accessible. At that time, most of the Chinese people were on 2 wheels, so having 4 wheels were already inaccessible. So the moment they launched the model that cost less than 50,000 RMB, like 7,000 US dollar, it immediately started to sell very well. And this was definitely what the government would encourage back then, to let more Chinese have cars. So when you think about it, right now, GELYY had been associated or often grouped together with the Chinese national brands and labeled as the traditional car brands, like the other government-owned companies such as Great Wall, GAC, etc. But around 20 years ago, GELYY was actually considered a new group of cars, the cars for young people, just like Neo and Xiaopeng nowadays. And the founder also had been forward-thinking since the beginning and saw the massive trend coming up. But it seems like his vision, his ambition was really far more than having a national brand that is a famous car maker in China, but more of a Chinese brand that's international brand. So 20 years ago, even though GELYY was still a tiny car company in China, it had the ambition to acquire Volvo, which was already international, established, high-end European brands with the history of almost 1 century. And of course, everybody thought it was a joke, it would be impossible. But we all know the end in which he did it. This Mission Impossible had a long story, but in really short, I would say his super determined willpower with the long vision he had on the Chinese car market and the international landscape. It really had attractive, great talent in the world, a very powerful team, and a huge support financially from many different parties all over the world to help him finish this goal. And the acquisition of Volvo really marked an important milestone for GELYY and Volvo actually. Both of them had benefited a lot from this acquisition. GELYY had got the team, the tech, the experience, the international exposure, the elevated brand image. And GELYY had a rebrand, a makeover after that, and successfully turned profit, and now still doing very well in the Chinese market. A few years ago, GELYY, together with Volvo, had launched a new brand called lynk&co, combining the strength and advantage of both companies. So for GELYY is the insane operational skills, the sales network and retail experience, the huge manufacturing plant, the forward thinking and giant ambition. And for Volvo, it would be the craftsmanship, the team of talents for design and engineers. And the positioning is for higher-end, younger demographics. It was a good combination, a nice debut of the brands and cars, but it was also the time when the whole car world was revolutionized by the EVs. The big attention on Tesla, the government's plan on carbon neutral. So I think since then, GELYY had been more quiet, focusing on the internal transformation, and everyone's eyes had turned to the new EV place. I think GELYY might be making a massive transformation in a low profile, doing many things at the same time, getting into many new techs, and might eventually be building a massive ecosystem. After the acquisition in 2007, I think they have done a good job integrating the two companies, positioning well in the Chinese market while maintaining a lot of the good tech development and a good team of engineers in the home country of Volvo, Sweden. And as of right now, among all the traditional car companies, Volvo seems to be the most advanced transition into the new energy, having 25% of their car sales to be electric. And their plan is to have it 100% new energy by the year of 2025. So 100% by this time, it's really aggressive plan as a traditional car brand that have existed for almost a century. So I think it shows the company's forward thinking and the ability of the team. And right now, Volvo together with GELYY has this team or lab called Zenseact. So Zenseact is also working on the full autonomous drive solution, just like Mobileye. And I think they could be in a direct competition. And on the other hand, I also say GELYY had launched the satellite project similar with Starlink's from Tesla, that they would be also launching thousands of satellites. I think this way they not only enhance the communication, but it would also help make all the location data more precise. Other than lynk&co, they are also invested into another company called ECARX. This company focuses on the software system for the car, the smart car OS, which also cooperates with Zenseact. And at the end of last month, GELYY also announced to be making their own smartphone. Surprise, surprise. Because this is a field that no one would expect any new players anymore. It is extremely saturated. The competitive landscape has been fixed a long time ago. Whoever enters later would just basically be expected to fail. So for GELYY to enter into this field, it is very surprising. They did not give out a very clear answer for this. The leaders simply said it's still a good field to enter. But I believe he is connecting the smartphone into something much bigger, which is the whole GELYY ecosystem that is building within its own circle. I believe he has formed a vision of how the car's OS system and the phone's OS, maybe even together with the desktop, smart home, home furniture, all the Internet of Things connecting together, sharing a seamless experience for the users. I think it would be a very powerful connection and it would shape the future. And I don't think they're the only one doing it. As I said, I think many big players are making their own ecosystem right now. I think they have realized that Chinese need their whole complete software system to not have the dependency on any US companies, especially for their software and OS system that can be shared within all the companies in China. A similar open source just like Android did, except that it's Chinese. Something like what Huawei had been working on, like their Harmony OS. But right now, Huawei has difficulty getting their chips made. And the Chinese chip manufacturers cannot get the high-end machine from the company ASML in Netherlands. And right now, they seem to be playing a crucial part in the chip sector. So since Huawei had been strictly sanctioned and monitored, would GELYY need to step up and take the big mission? Given that they already conveniently own Volvo, which is in Sweden, also in Northern Europe, so it's a lot closer to Netherlands than China. Can we put two and two together? So it really seems like GELYY is building a huge ecosystem, possibly. So definitely seems like they are transforming fast into the new tech field, and seems like the way of catching up to the EV trend is not bad. Recently, they also announced to be setting up 5,000 battery swapping stations by the year of 2025 in the whole world, which happens to be 1,000 more than NIO's plan. And I think more brands joining the battery swapping system would be a good way to make this a user habit, like a new norm, a unique, different business model from China, and brands exporting to the world. So with so much going on, I think GELYY is in a big demand for cash. And I think maybe that's why they are going to launch the IPO for Volvo, which recently said to be around the valuation of $20 to $25 billion. And if that is true, it would make the valuation of GELYY even cheaper because GELYY owns Volvo 100%. But the total market cap of GELYY as of right now, it's only $31 billion US. So overall, I think GELYY might be boiling something big here and under the shadow while everyone is looking at the new EV place. And let me bring out the checklist I've done a while ago in the video. The rules to remember investing in Chinese stocks in this political storm. Rule number 1, it's mainly listed in Hong Kong and with the ADR traded in US. GELYY satisfies that. Number 2, it needs to have sufficient cash in hand. And for GELYY, I think they are going to have good amount of cash in hand after the IPO of Volvo, of course. And number 3, it needs to align with the government strategy. And I think for GELYY, it is very much so. Since the beginning, it wanted to make affordable car for Chinese so it's available, accessible for more Chinese population. And then now it wants to take Chinese car to the whole world. And the vision has been further elevated into bringing more new technology, revolutionizing in the world. As a Chinese technology company. So for example, carbon neutrality, yes. And second, chips, very much possible. And 4, brand export, very much aligning with that as well. And much more with the whole iOS system for China. And my bold thesis or speculation that it is doing something Huawei cannot do right now that would be even more aggressive mission to align with the Chinese government strategy. With that said, I also need to tell you about the drawbacks for this company. Number 1 is that the team, because it's considered a somewhat traditional car companies. So that's why younger teams, they might want to go with something more young and refreshing like NIO, Xiaopeng, etc. And this is actually from one of our friends that work in GELYY, telling us that there were quite some talents leaving GELYY for companies like NIO. That brings to my second drawback, which is that the company is not young, the management team is not young, so that is why the decision making might be a lot slower than the other younger companies with internet background. And finally, it seems like they are building such a big ecosystem, getting into so many fields of technology. It seems like they really need a lot of cash in the years to come. And it doesn't seem like all the fields will turn profit in a short term, because there's no guarantee that all the investment in new tech would turn out profitable, turn out successful. No guarantee that they can connect all the dots together into forming this seamless ecosystem. But overall, I think it's a good Chinese investment in general, and also helps diversify from being only heavy into NIO or Xiaopeng and so on. So I hope you like my analysis on GELYY, and please let me know in the comment down below whether you like this company, whether you like their cars, and I mean Volvo, GELYY, and lynk&co and so on. And in the end, on a side note, I have prepared all the material for my Alibaba analysis video, and yet I still haven't got the 1,000 likes, even though I'm so close. So if you've got an idea, please advise me what to do now. Anyways, now if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a big like and write me a great comment, and I'll see you in my next video. That's it guys, hope you can find my videos helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and give me a big like. Thank you.